What did it look like?
Like a wing. It was the wing off a bloody aircraft.
Really tear at the fabric of reality that a whole jetliner just disappeared.
After years of uncertainty and an unyielding search, a new glimmer of hope emerges in the relentless quest to unravel the fate of Flight MH370. The long-standing mystery surrounding in a shocking turn of events, a fresh clue has come to light, sending hearts racing as we inch closer to uncovering the truth behind this unforgettable tragedy. Join us as we delve into the latest breakthrough, shedding light on a story that has captivated the world for nearly a decade. Our journey begins in the early hours of a crisp March morning in 2014. To be precise, the events unfolded at 12:41 a.m. on March 8. Malaysia, to Beijing Capital International Airport, China. It was meant to be a straightforward journey, lasting just over 6 hours. The aircraft assigned to this flight was a Boeing 777-200ER, a reliable yet aging workhorse that had been in service for 12 years. Registered under the identification 9M, MRO, the aircraft had successfully completed numerous flights. At the helm of this flight was 65 hours of flight time. He was well versed in this route and deeply passionate about aviation. His enthusiasm for flying was evident through the stories he frequently shared on social media, where he expressed his love for piloting. Alongside him in the cockpit was First Officer Fareeq Abdul Hamid, a 27-year-old co-pilot undergoing training. With 2,763 hours of flight experience under his belt, this journey was meant to be a crucial safety and comfort of the 227 passengers on board, including 5 young children. While the majority of the passengers were from China, the flight carried individuals from diverse backgrounds, making it a microcosm of the global community. Among them were 38 Malaysians, alongside travelers from Indonesia, Australia, India, France, the United States, Iran, Ukraine, Canada, New Zealand, the Netherlands, Russia, and Taiwan, and of the South China Sea. Reaching a cruising altitude of 35,000 feet, the flight crew conducted a routine check-in with Kuala Lumpur Air Traffic Control, reporting that all was well. Shortly after, as the aircraft prepared to enter Vietnamese airspace, Malaysian air traffic controllers transmitted a standard farewell message, signaling the handover to Vietnam's airspace management. In response, Captain Zahari's final recorded words were, just as the aircraft was crossing into Vietnamese airspace, it vanished from radar screens without a trace. The plane's transponder, its electronic identification system responsible for sending crucial flight data to air traffic controllers, ceased transmitting. In an instant, Flight 370 became a ghost in the sky, disappearing without any indication of distress. Those monitoring the flight on the ground were left in stunned silence of unanswered questions and growing concern. As investigators struggled to comprehend the situation, the mystery only deepened. No distress signal was ever sent from the aircraft, and there were no reports of severe weather or mechanical issues. Then, at approximately 1:30 a.m., a perplexing twist emerged. Military and civilian radar operators in Malaysia unexpectedly detected the aircraft once more. But something was executing an abrupt and unanticipated turn back toward its point of origin. Instead of continuing on its designated course, the aircraft veered southwestward, flying across the Malay Peninsula, a sprawling landmass covered with dense forests and urban centers. But the strange maneuvers didn't end there. The plane altered its direction once again, this time heading northwest across the Strait of Malacca, a vast and strategic waterway. The reason course change deliberately executed? Or was there another, more sinister explanation? Amid the growing confusion, an urgent attempt was made to establish communication with Flight 370. A pilot from another aircraft, flying nearby, reached out through an emergency frequency to relay a message from Vietnamese air traffic controllers. However, the attempt yielded no response, adding yet another layer of mystery to an already attempted to establish contact, hoping for a clear response. However, instead of words, all that came through was a jumble of static and indistinct sounds, deepening the sense of unease. Then, during the early hours, when silence usually blankets the skies, something chilling occurred. At precisely 2:22 a.m., the Malaysian military, which vigilantly monitors air traffic, lost all traces of the aircraft. The plane's last known position was over the vast and enigmatic Andaman Sea. The sudden disappearance from the radar was a frightening indication that something catastrophic might have transpired. By 2:40 a.m., matters became even more alarming. Air traffic controllers, responsible for tracking planes, delivered devastating news. They informed Malaysia Airlines that Flight 370 was no longer visible on their radar, it had simply vanished. The realization sent a wave of panic through the airline. With growing concern, Malaysia Airlines immediately initiated an urgent search effort. As dawn broke at 5:30 a.m., the intensity of the search operation escalated. The teams focused their efforts on two key areas, the South China Sea and the Gulf of Thailand, since those were the last locations where Flight 370 had made contact. The determination to uncover what had happened grew stronger with each passing moment. As news of the disappearance spread, the world watched anxiously. Then, oil rig workers, and residents of remote locations like the Kuta Huaju Atoll and the Maldives, began sharing their accounts. They described seeing an aircraft that bore a striking resemblance to Flight 370. Some of these eyewitness testimonies were remarkably detailed. A fisherman near the coast of Kota Baru described seeing a low-flying airplane, an unusual and unsettling sight. The mystery only east of a location known as Wong, an oil rig worker witnessed something unsettling. As he carried out his routine tasks, he suddenly noticed flames streaking across the morning sky, an image that sent chills down his spine. The Vietnamese authorities took his report seriously, quickly organizing a search and rescue mission to investigate the disturbing sight. Meanwhile, in Indonesia, a group of fishermen added another piece to the puzzle with a startling claim of the confounding case. Just when it seemed like the story couldn't take a stranger turn, 3 months after the plane's disappearance, a British woman sailing across the Indian Ocean came forward. She, too, claimed to have seen an aircraft engulfed in flames, adding her voice to the growing list of eerie and unexplained sightings. Each of these accounts, though different, painted an unsettling picture of a bizarre and tragic event. The more information surfaced. The relentless search continued, fueled by determination and the unwavering hope of uncovering the truth behind one of aviation's most perplexing mysteries. Initially, search efforts were concentrated in the South China Sea, the most logical location since it aligned with the aircraft's planned route. But then, a revelation upended all assumptions. Fresh data suggested that Flight 370 had veered far from its intended of Malacca and the shadowy depths of the Andaman Sea. As the mystery deepened, crucial clues emerged in the form of signals the missing aircraft had transmitted to a satellite. These signals weren't direct messages but rather cryptic echoes, subtle indicators that the plane had continued flying for several hours beyond its disappearance from radar screens. This revelation stunned investigators. Somehow, Flight 370 had remained. Exactly 1 week after the aircraft vanished, a company called Inmarsat presented crucial data. While they couldn't provide an exact location, their findings suggested two possible flight paths. One route led south, implying that the plane may have crashed into the desolate waters of the Indian Ocean southwest of Australia. The other possibility was that it traveled north, potentially reaching as far as Turkmenistan. With this new information in efforts to these newly identified flight paths. However, the northern route presented a major challenge. If the aircraft had indeed traveled north, it would have passed over highly monitored airspace in countries like Thailand and Kazakhstan. Military radars in these regions were designed to detect any unrecognized aircraft entering their airspace. The governments in these areas were confident that if Flight 370 had gone in that direction, it would have been search zone expanded dramatically, dividing the already vast area into two distinct sections. The quest for answers continued, as the search teams pressed on with unwavering determination, seeking the final clues that would solve one of the greatest mysteries in aviation history. The investigation into Flight 370's disappearance took an even more complex turn when experts divided the search area into two massive regions. The first was the southern portions of western China and the Indian subcontinent. Expanding the search area only deepened the already perplexing mystery, making the search effort increasingly challenging. Then came a heartbreaking day, March 24, 2014, when Malaysia's Prime Minister, Najib Razak, made a sorrowful announcement. After meticulously analysing the plane's final signals with the assistance of Inmarsat experts and the UK Air Accidents Investigation so vast and uninhabited that there was no possibility of a safe landing. This grim realization led to the painful acceptance that the aircraft, along with all those on board, had tragically plunged into the sea. This marked one of the most sorrowful moments in aviation history, especially for those connected to Flight 370. The doomed plane had been carrying 239 passengers and crew, and the chances of survival seemed non-existent. Later, another Malaysia Airlines Boeing 777-200ER, Flight 17, was struck down on July 17, 2014, killing all 298 people on board. The devastation only compounded, leaving an even darker stain on Malaysia Airlines history. As the world grappled with these heartbreaking losses, the pursuit of truth and answers continued, leading to an intense and costly search filled with unexpected discovery. Challenge stemmed from the suspected crash site being in one of the most isolated parts of the ocean, far from any land, making recovery efforts extraordinarily difficult. Then, on April 6, 2014, a glimmer of hope appeared. A ship deployed by Australia, floating in the middle of the sea, detected faint signals believed to be pings from the aircraft's black box. These sounds were traced to an area roughly 1,240 miles northwest aligned with the predicted path of the missing aircraft. However, a race against time began. If these pings were indeed from Flight 370, the black box's battery was on the verge of dying, which meant the vital recorder capturing the aircraft's final moments would soon go silent forever. Determined to act swiftly, experts deployed an advanced robotic submarine to scour the ocean floor in hopes of finding wreckage. It was a daunting task began to surface. Some experts suggested that the pings might have been false alarms, possibly caused by interference from the search equipment itself. Yet, the relentless pursuit of answers did not waver. The official search pressed forward until June 2015, but despite extensive efforts, the aircraft remained missing. Then, on July 29, 2015, a breakthrough occurred. A critical piece of the plane designated search zone in the Indian Ocean. Over the next 18 months, additional suspected aircraft fragments started appearing along the shores of various countries, including Tanzania, Mozambique, South Africa, Madagascar, and Mauritius. In total, 26 pieces were suspected to be from the missing aircraft. Of these, 3 were definitively confirmed as belonging to Flight 370, while 17 were deemed highly likely. However, one question remained unanswered: had the aircraft disintegrated in midair, or had it shattered upon impact with the ocean? Further analysis of the recovered wing fragments, particularly those from Réunion Island and Tanzania, offered crucial insights. The damage suggested that Flight 370 had not been deliberately guided into a controlled descent by a pilot. Instead, evidence increasingly pointed to the possibility that the plane had plunged violently, and China announced the difficult decision to halt the official search efforts for Flight 370. However, hope for answers remained. A private US-based company, Ocean Infinity, received permission from Malaysia to continue the search independently. This renewed mission persisted until May 2018, when the Malaysian Transport Ministry declared the search had officially concluded. A pivotal moment arrived in July 2018 that mechanical failure had caused the aircraft to vanish. Instead, the report strongly suggested that human intervention had played a role, indicating that someone had manually altered the plane's course. This revelation only deepened the enigma surrounding the tragedy, leaving investigators with more questions than answers. Despite years of dedicated investigation, the true fate of Flight 370 remained unresolved. Even with compelling clues rampant. Among the most alarming theories was the possibility of a hijacking, where an unknown individual may have deliberately seized control of the aircraft. The vanishing of Flight 370 remains one of the greatest unsolved mysteries in aviation history. Though years have passed, the world still searches for closure, hoping that one day, the truth behind this tragic event will finally come to light. The suspicion that someone might have deliberately that 2 passengers had boarded the flight using passports that did not belong to them. These passports had been stolen from their rightful owners, raising serious concerns. One of the stolen passports belonged to an Austrian citizen, while the other was registered to an Italian national. Both passports had been reported missing in Thailand over the past 2 years. Interpol, the international police organization that helps law enforcement agencies across different occurred, no one had checked these passports against Interpol's records at the time of departure. This oversight gained widespread attention when Malaysia's Interior Minister, Ahmad Zahid Hamidi, expressed his frustration. He criticized the border security officers who had allowed the 2 individuals carrying stolen passports to board the plane without raising any red flags. Investigations later revealed that the two passengers in question had purchased one-way tickets through China Southern Airlines. It was further uncovered that an Iranian man, calling from Bangkok, had specifically requested the cheapest tickets to Europe and paid for them in cash. Eventually, authorities identified the two individuals. They were young men from Iran, one 19 years old and the other 29. They had entered Malaysia legally, using their genuine Iranian passports, at the end of February. This led to speculation that they might have been seeking asylum in another country rather than being involved in terrorism. Even the head of Interpol admitted that investigators were beginning to doubt terrorism as the motive behind their actions. Following the mysterious disappearance of Flight 370, both American and Malaysian intelligence teams conducted thorough background checks on every single passenger aboard. Every aspect of their past was meticulously examined, while the Chinese government also launched a rigorous review of all its citizens on the flight. After exhaustive investigations, officials reached a unanimous conclusion: there was no evidence linking any of the passengers to violent activities or acts of terrorism. This intensified the already perplexing mystery, as investigators delved into a whirlwind of theories and speculation about what could have happened to Flight MH370. Among the many speculations, one particular individual caught the attention of investigators for a brief period. This person was an aviation engineer working for a Swiss-based company that specialized in leasing jets. Given his deep expertise in aircraft operations, some theorists speculated that he might have been capable of taking control of the plane. While theories continued to emerge, a particularly dramatic and alarming idea surfaced. Some believed that Russian spies might have hijacked the plane, deliberately crashing it in a remote area of Kazakhstan. According to this theory, the alleged hijacking was a strategic move by Russia to divert global attention from its activities in Crimea, which was undergoing significant geopolitical turmoil at the time. This idea had all the elements of an international espionage thriller: covert agents, hidden agendas, and elaborate deception. However, no concrete evidence ever surfaced to support this claim, making it yet another unproven theory in the growing list of speculations. As the mystery surrounding Flight 370 deepened, a peculiar detail captured the world's attention and sparked intense discussions. Reports emerged suggesting that the mobile phones belonging to passengers on the missing plane were still ringing when called. Desperate family members, clinging to the faint hope that their loved ones might still be alive, repeatedly tried dialing their numbers. The fact that the phones were ringing gave them a sliver of optimism, raising the possibility that the aircraft had not crashed into the ocean after all. However, telecommunications experts soon provided a sobering explanation. They clarified that the ringing of a phone did not necessarily mean the call was being connected to the person on the other end. When a phone call is made, the network first searches for the device to establish a connection. If the phone is unreachable after multiple attempts, the system automatically stops trying. Therefore, the ringing sound heard by the families was likely just the phone network attempting to locate the devices, rather than proof that they were still active. Although this technical explanation made logical sense, it did little to ease the pain and distress of the grieving families. At the heart of this enigma was one undeniable fact: the aircraft was soaring through the night sky above the Gulf of Thailand when, without warning, it abruptly changed course. It veered back over land, flying past both major cities and remote villages before vanishing entirely from radar. What made this event even more unsettling was the complete absence of any communication from the passengers or crew. In an era dominated by constant digital connectivity, where people frequently share updates, messages, and images in real time, the eerie silence was both baffling and unnerving. No distress signals were sent, no phone calls were made, and no social media activity was recorded after the plane's deviation. This unexplained silence only deepened the mystery. Given that the majority of passengers on Flight 370 were from Malaysia and China, countries with high mobile phone usage, especially among travelers, it was puzzling that not a single person managed to reach out. Experts debated possible explanations. Could the plane have been flying at an altitude too high for mobile signals to work? Did passengers attempt to communicate but fail? Or was there an external force actively preventing them from doing so? The lack of answers left the world grappling with a chilling uncertainty, one that continues to haunt aviation history to this day. The unfolding possibilities only add to the perplexity of the situation. As investigations persist, the enigma surrounding Flight 370 becomes even more complex and captivating. The world remains eager to uncover any fragment of information that could shed light on this baffling disappearance. Following its deviation from the planned route, military radar detected unusual activity from Flight 370. The aircraft ascended to an astonishing altitude of 45,000 feet, far beyond its standard cruising level, before plunging to around 23,000 feet, then later stabilizing at 29,500 feet. These erratic altitude shifts might explain why passengers' phones failed to connect. Regardless of whether they attempted to use their devices mid-flight or had them switched on from the beginning, the extreme elevations likely rendered ground-based cellular towers unreachable. As efforts to determine why Flight 370 veered off course intensified, U.S. investigators explored the possibility of intentional intervention from within the cockpit, theorizing that the plane may have been deliberately directed toward the Indian Ocean. To gain deeper insight, Malaysian authorities conducted thorough searches of the pilots' residences and scrutinized the financial records of all 12 crew members. Bank transactions, credit card activities, and personal backgrounds were all examined in an attempt to uncover potential motivations. Authorities delved into the lives of those on board, seeking to piece together the final hours of the ill-fated flight and the sequence of unsettling events that led to its disappearance. A month after Flight 370 vanished, Malaysia's chief police official revealed that over 170 individuals had been interviewed, including family members of the pilots and crew. The primary focus of the investigation was Captain Zahari Ahmed Shah, particularly if human involvement played a role in the aircraft's disappearance. Rumors circulated about the captain's possible intentions, with some speculating that he might have orchestrated a tragic conclusion by deliberately crashing the plane. Theories suggested that he could have locked the co-pilot out of the cockpit, disabled external communications, compromised the cabin's air supply, and allowed the aircraft to continue flying autonomously until it ultimately exhausted its fuel. Investigators examining Zahari's personal life found that he was a married father of 3, residing in a tranquil neighborhood where he owned 2 properties. Notably, he had a flight simulator at home, which he frequently used. A particularly suspicious discovery emerged when forensic analysts retrieved a deleted route from his simulator. This simulated flight closely mirrored the trajectory of Flight 370, extending toward the Southern Ocean and terminating at an isolated island. The eerie similarity between the recovered flight path and the plane's actual course fueled speculation about Zahari's potential involvement and whether his actions stemmed from personal distress. Further inquiries revealed that Zahari was experiencing emotional turmoil, including a separation from his wife, a hardship for anyone. Additionally, shortly before the ill-fated flight, a relative of his, Anwar Ibrahim, had been sentenced to 5 years in prison, which may have exacerbated his distress. However, Zahari's wife dismissed these concerns, insisting that he remain devoted to his family and profession. Friends and relatives supported her claims, affirming that Zahari's commitment to his loved ones and career made it implausible for him to harm others. As the investigation advanced, Kuala Lumpur authorities collaborated with the FBI to conduct an extensive forensic examination of Zahari's flight simulator. Despite the exhaustive analysis, no definitive proof surfaced linking him to a premeditated act involving Flight 370. Consequently, attention shifted to the co-pilot, Fariq Abdul Hamid. In a startling revelation, investigators uncovered that Fariq had attempted to place a phone call while the plane was flying at a low altitude near Malaysia's coastline. However, the call was abruptly cut off. The brief connection was established with a cellular tower in Penang State but was quickly lost as the aircraft moved out of range before a proper handoff could occur. Authorities remained tight-lipped regarding the call's details, refusing to disclose the intended recipient or its significance. This secrecy only intensified speculation. Who was Fariq trying to contact in such a dire moment? What message, if any, was he attempting to convey? Some theorists speculated that Fariq, overwhelmed by personal struggles, might have taken drastic action. The idea emerged that he could have seized control of the plane, disabled its systems, and locked himself inside the cockpit. If true, such an act would have been devastating, both for the crew, who would have been powerless to intervene, and for the passengers, who would have faced an inescapable fate. These grim possibilities added new layers of sorrow and complexity to an already heartbreaking mystery. Amid the speculation surrounding Fariq, questions arose regarding his personal life. Rumors suggested he might have been battling romantic difficulties, potentially pushing him into emotional despair. The notion that he saw this catastrophic act as a means of escape painted a tragic picture of a man feeling trapped with no way out. However, a closer look at his life presented an entirely different reality. Farik was not merely an average pilot, he was a man deeply in love and eagerly anticipating the next chapter of his life. He was engaged to Captain Nadira Ramle, a 26-year-old pilot from another airline, and their relationship was reportedly a great source of happiness for him. The prospect of marriage indicated that he was looking toward the future with hope and excitement, not someone contemplating an irreversible act of despair. Moreover, his career was not just a job, it was his passion. Flying was something he took immense pride in, and he was known among his colleagues for his dedication and enthusiasm. His commitment to aviation was unwavering, making it difficult to reconcile the idea that he would jeopardize everything he had worked for. The stark contrast between theories of his supposed distress and the tangible evidence of a man looking forward to both his career and personal life made the mystery of Flight 370 even more perplexing. This contradiction serves as a reminder to resist oversimplified conclusions and to examine all perspectives thoroughly. Human emotions and behaviors are intricate, and only by considering every detail can we hope to unravel the truth behind this perplexing tragedy. What do you think lies at the heart of the MH370 mystery? Could this latest information change our entire understanding of what happened? Share your thoughts below, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more updates.